Welcome, everyone, to a very special Wednesdays at One show. This format is going to be a little bit fluid, but a lot of fun, I can promise you. As you can see, we are celebrating 25 shows, 25 Wednesdays at One shows. And we're going to see some snippets from some previous shows. We're going to see some previous guests. We're going to look at some previous shows as well. Not the full shows, obviously, but we're going to just see the road traveled to this point. I can tell you right now that I already have a few guests in the waiting room, and we're going to meet them very shortly. I'll also tell you that guests may come in and go out. They may say hello. They may say goodbye. It's sort of an open door. If you've been on the show, you have an open invitation to join us. And I hope that you do. And that's the way we're going to do the show. We're just going to talk about their experience with the show, where they are, what they're doing. I want to just, before I bring my guests in, I just want to kind of talk about the evolution of the show. When I first started, I was reminded just a few minutes ago, when I first started this show, I actually wasn't super enthusiastic about doing it. I was kind of like, I'll do something. But a really good friend of mine kind of gently and then not so gently nudged me into it. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But here we are, 25 shows later, 6 months later. And this has always been a platform for anybody who wants to come in and talk about their business, talk about their brand, talk about their products, talk about themselves. I want this to be your home. I want this to be your go-to place. If you have anything you want to talk about, here's where you will come, hopefully. We try to make it open and inviting. We've talked about politics. We've talked about COVID. We've had lots to drink. We've had lots to eat, and we've had music. We've had artists. It's been just a wide range of really talented and interesting people here on the Wednesdays at One show. So let's go away from the least of the talented and interesting people, which is the host, and we're going to bring in some of our guests. So let me just bring everybody in right now, and we're going to meet everybody. So hello to my guests. As I unmute you, I want everybody to know who they are, and I'm going to let them be seen and identified. But let me just say, Tony Hippolyte, Jackie Roby, Sudi Ragsajak, first, thank you so much for being here. I mentioned a little bit earlier that I was kind of gently and not so gently nudged into that. And that was because of my good friend, Tony Hippolyte. So, Tony, I'm going to give you the first sort of crack at this format. Tell me about your memories of that very first show.
To be honest, it was so long ago, I actually don't really remember that much. I do remember the anxiety and the preparation behind it. And, we were just trying to keep it simple. We wanted to set a good impression and a good first look with everybody. And I remember you and I got online, I think at like 10 a.m. that morning, and got online again at 12. And even then we still had audio issues. And that's just part of the process when you start something new. It's always going to be scary. There's always going to be things that go wrong. But now this show has become something that feels so natural. It's almost expected. Sometimes when you don't have an episode, I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? So I'm thrilled that it's come to 25 shows, and I look forward to see what the next 25 look like.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for being there and helping me get to that first show. I'm not sure if you remember this, but this is a really interesting story about live productions. As you said, we got on early. We had another guest on. We were all ready to go. And literally about 3 seconds before we went live, our second guest, he slightly adjusted his computer just to move it a little bit, and he disconnected. And so in the first seconds of my very first show, I was already down one guest. He was gone. He just poof, gone from the screen. But I had to continue with the show. So that's what happens in live broadcasting. And that was quite an adrenaline rush right at the very beginning. So thank you again. So Jackie Roby, you were here for the second show. And it was one of the best shows we've ever had because it was about self-care. And so it was sort of our first foray. We didn't know what the show was going to be. We talked about COVID and in the house learning and remote teaching and all of that. And then we went right to self-care. And you came on and you really talked about the importance of self-care. But so tell me, what was your recollection of that second show that we did?
I had so much fun. That was a big thing for me. So speaking with you and Tony, I remember the hour flew by. At first I was thinking, how am I going to speak for an hour? I mean, granted, it's not a monologue, but I didn't know. And then I just wanted to keep talking. I really enjoyed the conversation. I thought there was so much good that came from it. And also, I'm just continually impressed by your skills. Even just watching the introduction, I was like, oh, wow, look at the video fireworks. I'm really just blown away.
Well, you know what, Jackie, I really appreciate that. And, this is, I do have these fireworks. Maybe they're a little distracting, but I'm really excited about this 25th show. It's something that I never thought was really going to happen. And here we are. And Jackie, you were a big part of it. We're going to come back to you a little bit later because you've done so much since that show way back in the end of September, beginning of October. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. But before we do, I want to say hello to my really good friend, Sudi Raxajak. Sudi, you have come to the show and you were really nervous. But one thing that I know about you, as much as anything, is that you are an absolute exquisite chef. You really just do your thing in the kitchen, lady. And I was so thrilled to have you come on and demonstrate. And I remember you were really nervous. You did an incredible job. What were your recollections of your time on the Wednesdays at One Show?
I just wanted to cook for you and the audience, basically. I still am a little nervous. I'm not used to being on camera or being the talent. So,
Well, your talents are they really do lie in the kitchen. And I had so many people reach out to me afterwards to really say, wow, that's an incredible recipe. I loved that we always do a little bit of pre-show with all my guests. But I love that there was a question from our viewers, and I'm going to get to all of our comments here in a moment. But I love that there was a question from the viewer that caught me off guard. And I think it was just, what if I'm vegan or what if I'm vegetarian or something like that? And I just passed the question along and you didn't even blink. You were like, yeah, I got you. This is what you do. And you were thinking on your feet because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what happens if you don't eat it. That's what I probably would have said, but you were right on point in real time. And that was really impressive because I knew that you were really nervous. So thank you for coming on. I know that you're not going to be able to be here the whole time, but thank you so much for coming on and sharing your cooking expertise with my audience. It was really, really appreciated. And we hope to have you back again soon.
Hope so. I just wanted to say congratulations to your 25th Wednesdays at One show. I do have to run, so thank you and goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Sudi. I appreciate you being here. I really do.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
So let's go through the comments quickly because we have some good commenters. And you know what? Even though this guy has never actually been on the show, I feel like he's part of the show because my man Sean Shoemate, known affectionately as Shoe, he always chimes in. Good morning, as always, from sunny Las Vegas. I think it hit like 90 or close to 100 degrees already this week in Vegas. So they're doing their thing over there. But Sean always tunes in. I've known Sean since college. He was a high-flying basketball star of our Framingham State Rams team, Framingham State University now team. And Sean, love you, bro. Thank you so much for your loyal viewership. And of course, Andy Lyons, who's been on the show a few times now. Andy is a big reason why I was even thinking about doing a show. That'll be me. Let me see, around 1:30. Excited to celebrate. Let me just say, I'm here celebrating 50 shows. Andy does 2 live shows a week. So what did I say? 50, 25 shows. Andy does 2 live shows a week. So every 12 weeks or so, she hits the 25 mark. So this is probably not a big deal for her. It's a big deal for me, though. So thank you, Andy, for your inspiration and your model of how to do a great show, because she really does do an incredible show. And Lisa, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate the congratulations. Thank you so much for watching. Lisa is a frontline worker. She's a nurse, y'all. She's out there doing the do on the front lines. And so props to you, props to all of your nurses, props to all of those first line responders, particularly obviously in a pandemic. Lisa, appreciate you and thank you for being here. Julie says, congratulations. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate you. I know you're down in Virginia. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Sean says his congratulations. And Lynn is going to be on this show. I can almost guarantee that at some point. We just have to figure out the specifics. But she's another incredibly loyal viewer. Lynn, thank you so much. She has great cleaning products, natural products, non-chemical products that really do the job. And we're going to have her on at a certain point. So let's go back to the show, the second show. That's the show about self-care. And that featured my 2 friends here, Tony and Jackie. So guys, you were there. We were all there. I'm going to show a quick little clip of the show. And then we'll talk about what was happening during that show. So give me one moment. Welcome everybody to Wednesdays at 1. I am so glad you guys chose to join us this afternoon. I'm going to get right into it. I have 2 incredible guests here. First of all, I want to introduce you to Jackie Roby. Jackie has an incredible story that she's going to share with us as the show progresses. And my good friend Tony Hippolyte, he's here. And I'm excited to have both of them because we're talking about something that's really important. And it's something that we all are aware of, but for whatever reason, it can get pushed to the side. And specifically what I'm talking about is self-care, right? So that's our trip down memory lane. You could tell that I was still very new as a host. I was really trying to very slowly tiptoe through this introduction because I was just so excited to have you guys there. But let's talk about self-care while I have you here. Jackie, tell me about your business journey. Tell me about your personal journey as much as you feel comfortable sharing. And tell me what's happening with Inspired Journey Consulting.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I want to say that if we're talking self-care, it is very common for us to pick ourselves apart, but I want you to be mindful because I heard you just criticize your first episode or your second episode. Be mindful of the things that we say to ourselves and be kind in what we're saying. So you were amazing, and we're at 25 episodes, and that is huge. And actually doing something live, I give you so much credit. So since then, so much has happened, actually. So I think we had spoken when I was just about making some changes in my business and trying to figure out exactly what that next route was going to be. And I shifted away from representation in the hotel space and really focused on what was going to bring me joy. And I did that because I've really spent time listening to my intuition and thinking and writing and realizing, what do I love about this process? So through all of it, what I really love is building the strategy, helping people to see what their key selling points are, what their strengths are, and to build a plan that fits the individual or the company. So I decided I was going to stay in that space. And then I took on social media amplifying. And that really came to fruition because of my own business and the skills that I had learned. And I realized it was truly in line with what I wanted for IJC in the first place, which is really to connect the traveler, the wellness supplier, the advisor, just really educate and bring wellness and healing travel to the forefront. So that's been an amazing journey. So with that, I started a podcast called Through Inspired Eyes. That's something I'm extremely proud of. My IGTV videos have gotten better because of your guidance. So thank you, Eric. and really,
well, wait, just 1 second. Let me just stop you right there, because I love what you just said at the very beginning, where you're like, Eric, be careful what you say about yourself. And then right at that sort of same moment with you, you're like, my videos are getting better, which tells me that, and I know you anyway personally, I know that you have very high standards, so you're never going to be satisfied. There's always going to be room for improvement for you. So, but I like the way you say it. And I've said it too. I've said, look, we are imperfect here at the Wednesdays at One Show, but we are improving.
I love that. I mean, the thing is, we're human. And I say this a lot in these, recordings. I think about it because I'm in an apartment. You can hear my husband through the wall. We've got our daughter in the next room, and I know that he's been knocking on her door, telling her not to scream while I'm here. But it's like there's this competition for who can make the most noise. And the end of the day, it's what life is. And who wants to be perfect? That's boring.
True. But I know that you're not just talking about wellness and travel and healing. You're actually living it. You've actually taken some amazing trips when it was safe for you and you felt comfortable. Talk to me about at least one of the trips. And it doesn't have to be away on a plane. I know you've done some even sort of intra-city travel and getaway, but whatever you feel comfortable, tell me about one of your experiences with Inspired Journey Consulting and just your own personal journey.
Sure. So I've had, if you don't mind, I'll give you a comparison of two. So one that was international, I flew to Mexico in July. I had a couple of beautiful properties that wanted me to get a feeling for what they were doing with their new protocols. So I made that move and went there. And that was absolutely phenomenal. I will say I had some of the best service I've ever experienced. I think there was a different level of gratitude from myself, the traveler, and then also just recognizing that this is helping somebody put food on the table. The second experience, most recently, I would say, was for my birthday. We went to White Barn Inn in Kennebunkport, Maine. So quick driving distance. And, very different in comparison because, you have your masks on very significantly because everything's indoors and it's colder. And it's beautiful and it's amazing. And changing space altogether helps with your mental wellness. So that's something that we've continued throughout the few months, actually. One significant time, it was right after the show, was we went to a local hotel because our dog had just passed away. And it was really hard. And I knew that we needed to get a reset. So we went on a Wednesday, checked in, just stayed one night. worked and schooled from there, and then came home, and we were able to start again.
Wow, that's an amazing story, and really just inspiring, because I think all of us are starting to think about travel again. And I know, Tony, you've done some traveling. I know I'm thinking about it because I call myself half vaxxed, right? I have shot 1 of 2 in the books already. So I'm already starting to think, what will life be after shot 2? And I know, Tony, you've done a little bit of traveling yourself. If you want to tell us a little bit about that. Thank you so much, Jackie. You have to unmute, Tony.
I thought you had me covered, Eric. I'm just kidding. So yeah, obviously, with the pandemic, happening, travel was scaled down. Generally, with pre-pandemic, I was on a plane every month, whether it's like a quick little 2-day trip to like a local city or it was a week away internationally, because I just like to get out. I just like to see and experience new worlds. So I took my sister to a surprise birthday trip to Mexico, to Tulum last year, which was cool. And that was an interesting experience because it felt like COVID didn't exist in Tulum. No one was wearing masks, and I was a little bit uneasy about it, but we did what we had to do to keep ourselves safe. And then we also had some family milestones that happened last year, good and bad. We had a death in the family. My cousin turned 30, and that was his mom that passed. So we all decided to just do like a private party with just all the cousins in New York, and rented out this section. I rented out this room and had a great time, Mm-hmm. But in terms of travel, I look forward to normal travel. I look forward just to be able to just navigate normally, I guess, and it's weird because I'm almost having like this reverse anxiety of us returning to normalcy, if that makes sense. It's like, oh wow, like wait,
that actually makes perfect sense, to be honest, to be really honest with you. I thought I was the only one who was thinking like that, but I'm so glad you said that.
Because I'm so used to everything being so limited, like not being able to do things. And then now they're like, hey, by the way, you can do this. And now, you can't sit at a bar. Now you can go to the clubs, and you, part of you is like, sweet, but at the same time, like, I'm kind of comfortable. Like I've adjusted, and it's weird because like that is, and I'd love to hear Jackie's input about that, because like, is that I don't know if I would consider necessarily mental health, but it's more so like, I don't want to call it conditioning because that sounds really bad. But like, it's sort of like, it's like we've adjusted, and now people have to adjust again, and I don't think us as humans, we've been used to such dramatic, lifestyle changes. Yeah.
No, that is a great point. And Jackie, I'm going to let you respond, but let me just get a couple of more comments in before we go forward, because I love my viewers, I love my commenters. Guys, if you have any questions or you just want to say hello, please do. And yeah, just circling back to Lynn. Lynn's product is Norwex. Norwex, everybody. If you are interested in chemical-free, safe, but effective cleaning products and apparatus, Norwex is Lynn's brand that she has been doing a lot of live streaming herself. She kind of does it on a kind of like a pop-up kind of thing. You never know when she's going to come up, but she pops up and she talks about her products, but she also talks about her life too. So I want to make sure that I say hello to Mrs. Dolores Tucker. Thank you so much, Mrs. Tucker. Congratulations, Eric. How proud we are. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I so appreciate that. Mrs. Tucker is someone that I've known since I can remember knowing people. So I so appreciate you tuning in and leaving a comment. And great idea, Jackie, about the reset. Talk to us, Jackie, a little bit about what that reentry, I won't say anxiety, but the dynamic of reentry and your experience with that.
Well, I think anxiety can be pretty spot on in that. I actually listened to an author and scientist speak about it last week, saying how he anticipates that there are some of these habits that we are going to maintain, right? Because we have gotten used to it. there's a meme that I've seen about, now we're really going to have to tell the truth when we say we can't go. We don't want to go out. We don't have an
Yeah.
excuse after all of this. And
Yeah.
I've really loved slowing down. I really like and prefer smaller, intimate groups anyway, and having real conversations. So I've been able to find joy in a lot of the moments. And
No, yeah, I mean, and I can tell you, Jackie, not to interrupt, pardon me, but your joy comes through, right? You've really sort of ramped up your social media presence. Part of it to do with your business, and then within your business, kind of doing other sort of entries into different aspects. You mentioned your podcast, you do webcasts. We see lots of posts from you. If you're a follower of Inspired Journey Consulting, which I recommend everybody, please follow Inspired Journey Consulting. But I see the growth. I see the joy, but it's not all sort of like, you're not always just painting rosy pictures. When things are challenging, you say that and you experience it, and your followers experience it with you. So I'm just so like blown away. You make me feel really lazy about the things I need to be doing for my own business, because you are on point, Miss Jackie Roby. So continue on with that.
thank you. I'm very grateful. I really appreciate that. That's beautiful feedback. And what I will say is, I started this with a purpose, and it had to do with my own healing journey. And so living an authentic life and realizing this is how I was going to speak to it was telling my own story throughout and highlighting these different areas of it. So I have shared moments of my depression when they've come out to dance again. I've just shared bad days, days of body dysmorphia. And what I've been amazed at and grateful for is, after I started the podcast, having people from so many different walks of life, people that I've never met before, and people that I've known in my industry for years, for decades, that have come to me and said, thank you, and then shared their story and how they'd never told anybody, or they're working on it, or they need to work on it, or it helped them feel less alone. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because it can just move us to where we need to go, which everything just goes down to why I do what I do. People need to know what's available to support them.
Outstanding, Jackie. Thank you so much for sharing that. It is so true. I can tell you that, I've built my own little mothership here at the Wednesdays at 1 show here I'm basically in my bedroom. It doesn't feel like it, but I'm in my bedroom. I've built this whole little mothership. And now I feel like, how am I going to utilize this mothership in the new world where people are going places and are doing things? And I can tell you that a lot of people are adopting the best parts of what they've learned or what they've adjusted to here, and I think they're going to keep them regardless of what happens out in the quote unquote real world. So I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad that people aren't, whatever they're experiencing now, that we're sort of coming to a reawakening, a rebirth to outside life, that there are some great things that have happened under some less than great circumstances that are going to stay with us. The self-care piece, I think, is so important. I think that I'll never look at that the same again, partially because of the great show that we had way back when, but then just using that show as a genesis to really begin to think about how I feel and how I'm feeling and what I'm going through, primarily in isolation. That's the part, right? I get to reach out to my friends here every Wednesday at 1, but there's a whole other, 23 hours and 6 other days where you're kind of, doing it on your own. So I appreciate both of you for really helping me in my personal journey. And speaking of journey, go ahead.
I think one thing
let me just get Sean's comment in here, and then we'll go to you, Tony. Speaking of traveling, one trip my wife and I took to Boston a couple of years ago to see family and friends. We're all hanging out, and Eric came out to see us, and I was so excited. I had too many glasses of wine and didn't feel comfortable driving. Eric, being the man he is, said, "Let's leave your car here. We'll go get something to eat. And when you guys feel comfortable getting behind the wheel, I'll bring you back to your car." Not only did he follow through with his promise, I actually followed them home too. This is something that was a fun and incredible night. And I'm going to tell you guys, to my great guest here, and to everyone who's listening, here's something that I think is unique to where we are in this space and the reemergence into real life. I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself and say that I probably drank more wine this year than I have in any other year. I've definitely drank more wine than I've drank beer, which is a miracle if you know anything about how I love beer. But that's okay because I've been home. When we go back out into the world, we have to be, I think, acutely aware of, if we decide to drink, what our tolerances are, what our safety levels are, and really just be aware that we should not be getting behind the wheel because of we haven't been driving, period. We haven't been driving, sober or less than sober. We haven't been driving. But I think that people's tolerances are maybe different. I want people to be super careful as you start to go back out into the world about what you're drinking, how much you're drinking, and how that relates to if you decide to get behind the wheel of a car, because I think people have been doing some drinking with an A, but they've been at home. So I want guys to really be aware of that. Now, go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please share with us.
Not a problem. I mean, I think that also ties into your comment. I think people I think people realize how much energy it takes to show up, so to speak. Because, for example, like even myself, like I'll have like a business call. They're like, all right, let's get on Zoom. I'm like, but we can just have a 3-way call on the phone. But people they so desire to see your face now that it's absolute normalcy. Like now it's like there's no such thing as a conference call. It's Zoom. We're on camera. I'm gonna see your face. I'm gonna hear your voice, and we're gonna talk it out. And when it goes to like the whole social aspect of it too, I think there's a lot of things, especially with this unprecedented transition into doing absolutely nothing to now transitioning back to, hey, you're back to do whatever you want to do. That's going to be an immense responsibility on all of us to not only drink responsibly, but also to socialize responsibly. Because I think people are going to, because I know for me, like I've stepped out a few times. It was weird when I would drive, like I had to go visit family in the hospital one time. And I was driving by like a bar and I saw people kind of all packed into this tent. And I'm like, yikes. And it just kind of threw me off. I'm like, the idea of being around so many people, mind you, I've been in clubs and bars where there's hundreds of people in my whole life. And for some reason, seeing that really threw me off. And I also think that in conjunction with drinking responsibly, I think people need to also socialize responsibly. Like don't go full tilt and hit a nightclub with 1,000 people, whenever we get there, just do it. Like I also like small intimate gatherings as well. But if you want to do something bigger or go to a conference, a concert or a conference, sure. Just I think people need to realize that there's so many things that we haven't done in a while that it's going to take you a while to get your legs going, so to speak, socially. So I think drink responsibly and also 100%. Socialize responsibly.
And
100%.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, hold on one second. I'm going to bring in a guest, but I want you to just stand by. Let me bring in the guest. Miss Andy Lyons is here.
Did I hear there's a party? I mean, I saw you wearing a tux. What the heck? Congratulations.
It's a celebration.
Clink, clink.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andy. I so appreciate you being here. You are as responsible for this as anybody, right? You were doing this before I even thought about doing it. You do it twice a week. You clearly do it with great flair. And, I'm super excited about having you here. But before I give you the floor, Andy, because I'm going to give you the floor, I want Jackie to just make her
point.
point
Jackie has
that she
to
was
say.
just about to do.
On the edge of my seat, Jackie.
I'm so happy to see you. I can't even tell you the joy you just brought me. What I was going to say is that as we're edging back into this time of more choices, we're going from that extreme of not having any. We need to remember that we still do have choices. So we can say no. We can say, no, I don't want to socialize. No, I don't want to be in that big group. No, this is not a space for me. And I think owning that, one of the things that I really loved was that people said no more often. And we were all comfortable with it and said, we get it. If this isn't comfortable for you, that's okay. If you're anxious here, that's cool. But keeping that sense of awareness and that ability of choice is really important.
You are so right, Jackie. I think that's what's maybe people feel like there's been these fences up, and now that we can do other things, the fences just come down. We just run through them, right? We can still say no. We can still make choices. We don't have to do anything that we're not comfortable with. That goes for in pandemic, out of pandemic, vaccinated, not vaccinated. You still have choices. Such a great point, Jackie. I really appreciate that. Now, Miss Andy Lyons is
I'm really
here.
loving the sparkling. Thank you for giving me an occasion to put my boa and my sparklies on, Eric. Congratulations. And to Jackie's point, Chet and I are ready to have you back over in the house, Eric.
You're vaccinated.
Yeah, well, I will be. As soon as you're vaccinated, we're going to have you over. We'll get back into our more frequent, go out for beers, the usual. Very excited.
I just heard beer, and I'm fine with that, but responsibly, yes, because we were already talking about that. So, Andy, you are a veteran of 2 Wednesdays at 1 shows. Tony, I don't even know. I have to go back and look at my records, but you've been on 2 Wednesdays at 1. Tony's been on 6. You and Tony were on one together doing a quiz show, I remember.
So much fun. Trivia. Tony killed it.
I'm going to pull that one up because that was fun. And we had some fun with that. And that was like, again, that's me experimenting with the format. But let's take a quick look at the there we are. Look at us. Hello, everyone. And welcome. We're also young then to this week, Wednesday at 1 show. Let me just fast forward that. Tony, you have the next guest. Guess.
Hey, Baboon.
Andy?
Wow. I'm going to go with Jose.
Okay, so Tony says Pat Boone, he is correct.
I am in shock.
Tony.
Pat Boone singing for the Osbournes. Oh my gosh, that just shows you I was being very judgmental.
So there's a little quick highlight from our show. I don't know why I'm laughing. That's a quick highlight from our quiz show. I don't know how I got to Pat Boone, but whatever. Whatevs. But that was me experimenting with a format, finding an app that could do a trivia. And I said, you know what? I don't want to, I need 2 people that I really trust and trust me to kind of pull this off. So of course I had to call you 2, and you guys did an incredible job. I really appreciate you doing that. What are your memories from that, Andy?
Well, my memories are that I just lost almost every question, but I've never been good at multiple choice. But Eric, I want to go back to talking about you and how you've taken these 25 shows to learn so that you are honing your craft. increasing your expertise so that you bring even deeper and greater value to your clients. Because at the end of the day, this is where you get to, of course, showcase phenomenal food, cooks, everybody doing really remarkable things, but you have a deeper purpose, which is finding out what are the best tools, because live stream is not going to go away. Remote workers are not going to go away. This is still a platform. Video creates 80 out of all the mediums out there. It is the highest one for creating meaningful content and connection with your customer base, your community, etc. So what I really loved and appreciated about every single show is that you used it to test. You were transparent with everybody. One of my favorite shows was Tony's cooking away. And then and out of the blue, you come out with the mic,
Yes, we
was
lost the mic
so
in the middle of
funny.
everything. I remember. Yes.
That was a frustrating show. I enjoyed it, but it was just like, people were like, yeah, there's been no audio for the first 15 minutes. I'm like, oh my
But
God.
see, work out the kinks in a safe zone like this,
Yeah, absolutely.
where you're not being judged, and you get it all worked out, so then you can go wow your clients and
Right.
still have an opportunity to keep top of mind with people. When you do
Right.
video, they're always remembering, oh yeah, Eric, he's media prepared. Eric is about media. Oh, it's Wednesday at 1. Absolutely. That's a branded content, but it is under the umbrella of what you bring to the world and the gifts that you bring to the world, Mr. Eric Cox.
I so appreciate you saying that, Andy. And yes, that is sort of the original concept, is that I want people to know what I can do. And I want them to know what's possible, right? For their own entity, for their own show. I say to anyone out there, do a show. If you're interested in doing it, Lynn's doing it. She put up her site, her website. And she's doing it, right? She's really embracing it. And
Jackie, you are too.
Jackie is, Tony is, and speaking of Miss Mia Voss saying, hey all, if you guys are not following Mia Voss right now, get on your Facebook and follow her. They're gone. We're here. Get on her Facebook and follow Mia Voss. Let me thank Jackie and Tony for being here. They had to bow out, but thank you so much for being here. Follow Mia Voss. And of course, preach that
Mia.
good work, Andy Lyons. Yes. And I know Mia because of Andy. And if you ever get a chance to catch Mia live, to catch Andy live, I promise you, you will not be sorry. These ladies are spectacular. And if you get them together, like I did one night, to some random night they were on together, that is incandescent. It is something to behold. These ladies have so much energy. They have so many great things to say. So please follow both Andy and Mia if you can.
So
thanks, my friend. Appreciate you.
Can I say thank you as well to you, Eric? Because folks, I went back into doing video live when COVID hit. Okay. And I had known about StreamYard. I had been a live host on Google Hangouts for 4 or 5 years and Blab. And then I took 2 years off because none of the technology was stable like it is here on StreamYard. But I knew as an extrovert or ambivert, I really wanted to stay in touch with people. And so it was scary. I mean, my first show, I was with the wonderful Shannon Hernandez. If you're into podcasting, please follow Shannon Hernandez, theshanman.com. And he helped me get my sea legs. But even after the first show, I called Eric afterwards and I think that's going to be a one and done. Okay. And he's like, well, why don't you do one more? I go, okay, I'll try doing one more. And then he said, try to do another. I go, okay, I'll do another. That was 71 shows ago, folks.
Wow. I said that earlier. I said, I'm celebrating 25 like I've really done something. But Andy, you are really doing it. Let me bring in one of my financial guys. We're going to talk a little bit of money.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring in my very good friend, Derek. Derek, I want you to unmute yourself, please, if you can. Thank you so much. Derek, thank you so much for being here. You are one of my money guys. Thank you.
Hey, what's going on, Eric? How you doing?
I'm
Nice to
doing
meet
well.
you,
I want you to
Derek.
meet Andy. Derek is in the ATL. And I
Yes.
mean, Georgia has been sort of the center of the universe politically, sports-wise. Derek is actually a former NFL player. So he's got irons in all kinds of fires. And I know from talking to Derek, he's really interested in utilizing platforms like this and the power of video to help people manage their finances. Derek, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you do it.
Thank you, Eric. First and foremost, it's good to be here. Anytime I'm talking to Eric is always a good thing. I'm always learning something. But as it relates to what I do, basically at the end of the day, I help people protect, preserve their money, help them understand in terms of exactly where they are, and exactly how to get to where they want to be the most efficient as possible. And that can look a little different. That can be with the mixture of make sure that we have the proper strategies in place on the protection side and investment side. But what I do, I try to bring a lot of good energy to any conversation as it relates to money.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. And we're
Hello,
taking
everyone,
a
and
look,
welcome to my Wednesdays
show.
at 1 show here on Facebook Live. You can also,
In addition to that 401k, just in case the market might go down, and then do they have more time to continue to work and build that back up? That's why planning is so key in terms of prioritization. For the 401k is just one aspect of a person's financial plan, like one aspect. So in terms of making sure that everything is protecting the downside, financial surprises happen. You want to make sure that you have a solid plan, like you mentioned in the beginning, Eric, and that you constantly.
So that's just a little flashback from our show. If you remember when, right?
Yes.
Tell me what you remember about your time on the Wednesdays at 1 show.
Just basically talking philosophy and having the approach, not somebody else's approach, but making sure you have your own approach to your own finances, and ultimately what can be detrimental to your finances, and just making sure that you're aware of the blind spots for the things that you're building for yourself, your business, most importantly, and your family.
That is so important. I can tell you that people's finances, among other things, I mean, I don't know that we're really talking a lot about finances because people are sort of in their own private world in terms of dealing with money in a way and paying attention to money in a way like we've never had to before. So I think just having that conversation. Please go ahead, Ed.
So Derek, are you a financial advisor? What is your?
Yes, I'm a financial advisor. I have it's me. As you've seen that Eric pulled up, I have a couple of partners.
Yeah, and the reason I ask this is that it's so challenging in social media to be a financial advisor, be someone, because there's a lot of handcuffs on what you can say, is my understanding. How do you navigate that with all the regulations?
That's a great question.
Good question. Well, what I'm focused on, I'm not focused on social media. And I actually reached out to Eric. We probably need to pick this back up, Eric. I'm also focused on real life. I deal with a lot of professional athletes. I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs. I deal with families that make significant income, or just regular people. But anybody that is serious about their financial position in terms of getting a good understanding of where they're at and where they want to go. I'm not really focused on social media.
Except right now, you're speaking live.
Well, in terms of yes, but in how I would leverage that for a platform like this, there's conferences that we hold. When you say social media, I'm thinking more like Instagram, but I guess this is the same
You
thing.
know, when you speak like this, I just know from years of hearing my financial advisor buddies all going, "Oh, I wish I could do what you just did," or "I wish I could do, calls to action and all of this stuff." But people don't realize attorneys have to have disclaimers when they come online. When I interview attorneys who are talking about the startup documentation, like I'll be on Friday at 1 p.m. on the Startup Life Live show, we'll be talking to Cynthia Selvarajah. I have to say a disclaimer several times.
Yeah. So, and thank you for that. Right now, the Julian and I, my partner who Eric pulled up on the previous recording, right now we're in the midst of helping AT&T. So there are it's a closed conversation. But there are some disclaimers that has to be made. But on the other side of that, the people that reach out to us outside of the group, then that conversation is just different.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for chiming in, Derek. I know you're super busy. I want to make sure that I get my comments in to everybody. Mia says, right back at you, Eric. Your content creation is amazing. Thank you. I know Lynn is complimenting you, Andy. Well done. I think she had to go back off to work. One of my really good friends, Karma Franklin, says, congratulations. Thank you, Karma. I haven't talked to you or seen you in so long. I appreciate you tuning in on this very special anniversary show. So, guys, this has been such an incredible walk down memory lane. Andy, I know you were going to be drinking that whether I was having a show or not, right? Am I right? Or am I right?
Hey, full disclosure, it's sparkling water, please.
I need to get with Andy.
I cannot drink and live. You know that you don't want to drink and drive. I can't drink and live, okay? Mia can drink and live.
Yeah, I've learned so much from Mia. And I've done a little bit of drinking and living because we've done some wine tastings. We've done some beer tastings. We did some holiday cocktail tastings. And trust me, I'm no stranger to the 1 o'clock cocktail or adult beverage.
Oh, you madman.
But there's something about the adrenaline of actually doing a show and drinking and trying to maintain some type of composure. But those have always been really fun shows. So we're going to begin to wrap up, and I'm hoping you guys can just stay because the one thing I really want to do before, you have to go there. Okay, no problem. Go ahead, Derek. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Nice meeting you, Andy.
Say hello to Julian for me, please, too.
Okay. Peace. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations again, Eric. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Derek.
Okay, bye.
Oh, you got
so appropriate that it's you and me at the end, Andy. I appreciate it. What I want to do just before we go is I want to play the actual very first show, the very first minutes of the very first show. And I want to kind of preface it by saying again that I had two guests. Tony was one. And my good friend Scott was the other. And we had practice. We were ready. We were there. And he just very slightly touched his computer just before we were about to go live. I mean, literally 3 seconds before we were about to go live. And so I want you guys to look at this and understand that I'm watching one half of my guest panel disappear in the very first seconds that I'm doing the show. So take a look at this, guys. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my live webcast. I'm here to talk to you guys about something that is on all of our minds, whether we have kids or not. It's the idea of online learning, right? Distance learning, virtual learning, however you want to phrase it. It's something that I have been talking with some friends of mine, some colleagues of mine, particularly because of my background on the production side.
Let me be clear about that.
This gap, right? And Scott, I want to ask you, when you talk to educators, and you've been talking to educators all around the country, I know, what are they telling you in terms of how they are preparing, not the kids, but teachers.
Well, first, I'd like to say I'm glad you invited me to talk about this today because it's something I've been immersed in the past few months, and I think it's a really important thing to talk about.
So that was the first show, Andy. It wasn't even the Wednesdays at One show. It was just a show. It was just like, welcome to my thing. And Scott, who you just saw right there, we just lost him. We didn't have him. He was the one who kind of wanted to do the show too. So I had no real experience in producing a live show and certainly not hosting a live show at the same time. And the very first thing I had was a little bit of an emergency there. So you've been through that because you've done so many more shows, but
please, this is why people, and you hear the influencers like Roberto Blake, whom we love and adore. He'll tell you, you've got to get all of these out of the way. You've got to go and make all these wonderful mistakes and just keep doing it and get through it. Oh my gosh. I mean, you can sit there in fear of what if everything goes wrong. You need to become unflappable so that when it all does go wrong, you're like, okay. Because at the same, if you're live, it's really about the connection with your audience. So you bring them with you. You're not CNN, okay? You are a human connecting with other humans, sharing humans, stories. And so that connection is so important. And what you do so well, Eric, is a little of that edutainment, that valuetainment. And you certainly have helped me on my show create wow moments and fun moments for folks as they're watching, just to keep it stimulating and moving along. And I just loved watching that first one with you. You were so serious.
I was very nervous, and I didn't, and that I don't really use any scripts or any outlines. And that's one of the big differences between our shows, right? That's why your show is so well polished and has of these great elements to it.
This brain doesn't do extemporaneous very well anymore. If I have information I need to convey, I've just told everybody ahead of time, look, you're going to see me looking down at my Word doc. Please forgive me. I just want to make sure I'm popping you with the right information that you need in this short period of time. And, people can be very forgiving. If they're looking for perfection, they can go watch TV.
No, absolutely. I think that I am just always in awe of all of the prep that goes into. I mean, you do 2 shows. That right there is just a bar so high for me because I think of all the things I have to do, get 1 show on the air every week. And the idea of doing 2, I can't even think about that. But you do it because you love it. First of all, it's your passion. You do it because you're super organized and you have very clear objectives. And that's why I was so glad that you were talking about my objectives, because sometimes they can get lost in the fog of just trying to put a show on the air. Like, why am I really doing this, right? What's going on? And so I appreciate you even kind of bringing me back to that whole concept, because that is why we got into this way back when. So with that note, I'm going to ask you.
Prepared, so.
I'm going to ask you, Andy, just to hold on. I'm going to say goodbye, if you can. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. And I'm just so glad that you were here. Thank you to all of my guests. Thank you to all of my commenters, all of my viewers, everybody who came by and said congratulations. Guys, this has been a journey of 25 shows over the last 6 months that there is no way I could have done it without you guys. So today we celebrate. Today we say thank you, and we look forward to the next 25 shows. But until that time, guys, I will see you next week on the Wednesdays at One Show.